think I've already worn this shirt in like a video already. I just like the shirt because it feels good on me. I keep wearing it and it's like super comfy. Honestly, that's how I've been doing things like now. Like honestly, like when I put stuff off on, I try not to think about doing shit like put stuff on and all that stuff. So yeah, that's what I normally do, but it's whatever. Um, yeah, it is. It's like 4 a.m. I'm sitting in my car for a minute, but I think today's video. Shit, fuck. Why am I cussing already? But I just said everything in like 2 seconds. Uh, but today's video, I kind of want to like talk more about like why I lost like so much weight in the first place, and and like now, like my perspective is like changing because I've explained it like past videos, like as a kid, I was in pretty good shape. I used to swim a lot, and I think that's what kept the weight off quite a bit, because it was like, I was very active and I did a lot of swimming. So swimming burns a shit ton of calories, and then once I stopped swimming, that's when I put on the weight, and sucks, And throughout high school, I gained it. I was fat in high school. I think when in high school, I think my freshman year, I was at least like 240, 250, something around there. And I think I stayed that way for like a few years. And then, I think the only reason why I was able to keep it down because I was playing like football, baseball, and like soccer. And, it's fucking nuts because I was such a big kid. Like, I was able to play those sports. Just crazy, right? But still, I had an issue with weight. And, and like all those years, like it sucks because like, I guess it's something you could control at the same time, but like most people don't have that kind of knowledge, because like some people are just lucky. Like I feel like a lot of like, it just really depends, because I don't know people's whole lives, because like, people that are like skinnier throughout high school, maybe it's because they're more active and all that stuff, and then like, food wasn't really that big of an option for them, but like some of them just have like great genetics, and like they can get away with stuff from like eating a shit ton of food, right? I didn't have those genetics, like especially like whenever like I'd hang out with certain friends and they just eat a shitload of food and still be in good shape. And like I know people who still do that today, like they eat more than me, and like they're still able to like be relatively lean, and it just really depends, luck of the draw. Like most people who are bodybuilders, like shit, like they already have the genetics to do it, and you can just look at them. Like people are, if you're like ripped for no reason without like lifting or barely even lifting, like that's you have good genetics, and that's the reality of it. People don't really see that, but I see like all this stuff, people like guys doing steroids and shit and trying to make it normal, which is horrible. It's a horrible thing. And it comes down for things, and then like girls doing like lip fillers and all that stuff, and then like I guess like it's hard for me to relate to that kind of stuff, because like I guess the way that I view it is a little bit different. Maybe most people do, I don't know, but like the way I view it, it's not different. But it's like when I think about this stuff, is the way that I look at it is just like it's more for external validation, right? They still want to look good their whole lives, and like they've been able to maintain it relatively easy, like shit. Like I remember like this one girl that I went on a date with, like dude, like she would eat so much fucking food, and like I like shitty diet, like all of them, and then they're able to like stay like just like that. I'm like, damn, I wish I had that, because like if I eat like super shitty like that most of the time, like I just get fat. Like because like even like with my highest muscle mass and how strong I was, I was able to put on weight like relatively easy. Like I'd eat like probably like 2,500 calories, I think, maybe 23, maybe less than that, I don't know. But my caloric deficit has to be super fucking low, which sucks. And that's just the reality of it, you know. It's the luck of the draw, you know. Some people are born in really shitty households, some people are not, you know. That's how life works, right? And I wasn't blessed to be put like that. I'm fucking bald too. I was bald by like 20, so there's that too. So I have horrible genetics, but I was able to grow a beard relatively easy, so that's the positive thing, I guess. Now I got a shitload of loose skin and stuff, so it's like, you know, like I got this is all fucking loose skin, like that's all loose skin, like it's like, now I got that, right? And you know, I always like you know, people have their own issues, you know, there's probably other things going on, and like you see these good looking people start crying about things and stuff like that. I always think about people who are like, you know, not that good looking or just severely overweight, and they're like completely alone, they never leave their house and stuff like that, and they got these other mental health issues like depression and all that shit. I'm like, why are you guys like that? And, you know, but I don't know their whole story, because they can have a horrible upbringing that I don't know about. But like sometimes, like, you know, I'm like, you don't need to feel bad for people, right? You can be empathetic with them, but like that's what I'm saying. Let's like understand what their problem is, try to look at it from their viewpoint. But you know, and I do, and then like sometimes I just don't feel bad for them. You know, you don't need to, but like you like I get it. Like I get why they're sad. Like I definitely understand. But I guess like even like now, like for myself, like, you know, I don't, you got to look at the viewpoints of like how horrible people's lives are, I guess, and like that's the reality of it. And you know, that's how I looked at it once I was bigger, because like I was 300 pounds, and you know, I was just sitting in my fucking room all day, right? And I would eat so much food, because that was the only thing that would keep me happy, right? I would sit in my room, go to class, and I would never do anything. So like I would, you know, at the time I wanted to be a YouTuber, so I was trying to make a video every day, and that's what I was doing, going to class, doing that in school, and then I don't know, and then I ended up trying out for like, well, I remember whenever I was going to Arizona State University, we're number one in innovation. That's fucking nuts, right? But I remember going there, and like my friend like invited me to go play like indoor soccer at the rec center. So I went to go play. I was fucking popping off. I was playing goalkeeper. I was fucking popping off, and then I was asked to play on this team, which I did, right? And it was pretty cool. And I didn't do the indoor soccer part. I just remember I didn't like the ball. I just like, it's a lot heavier, and it's just like I was having such a hard time predicting it, and it was like pissing me off. So I was like, I don't want to play this. But I was doing pretty well, and it's like I was just like, shit, I don't want to, you know, do all this, you know. And it's like the only sport I could play. Baseball, like baseball is probably my favorite sport, but I ended up quitting when I was younger, and you know, I have reasons why, but if I would probably continue that, because it was like my first goal up until like my sophomore year was to become a pro, but you know, that kind of went away. But like practically, you know, that's what happened. And you know, when I was sitting there like not wanting to go, because I was just like so scared. You know, that has to do with the OCD stuff, like anxiety, just to do anything, man. Because like I would like think that everybody in the whole fucking gym would be looking at me if I was playing soccer, because I was a big kid too, so like people look at you when you're bigger, and like I guess from my viewpoint I understand that shit. So, and like it's funny because like you look at people who used to like call you like fucking horrible things as a kid, and they're all fat, and I mean that's just reality. But I don't know what they're going through. They went through a shitload of stuff, but like, you know, but yeah. And then I just remember like, you know, I'm gonna play intramural soccer, I'm gonna play it outside, and I played ASU, and then like I played a few games, and then like I quit some games. Instead, like I'd go and fucking drink and party because I was ASU and with my freaking alcoholic friends. But I mean, that's just that's how it was for me back then. And like now, like it's a good learning. I don't regret it, but it was a good learning lesson for me. Like you can't really regret anything, right? Because if you did, you wouldn't learn anything. I mean, I guess it depends on the context of it, but I don't know. That's a little bit too much of a topic that, that needs to be explored deeper, but like, I guess the way I see it, it's just like stuff like that makes you grow, and it made me grow. So it's like, and like at the same time, I didn't know I was doing all the other shit, like, like, cause I was told like there's nothing wrong with me, right? Like, I'm always told that by people, and I was too afraid to go visit anyone and all that shit. So whatever. But the first initiative, I was like thinking, I'm like, why do I feel so shitty all the time? Like, I'm gonna lose weight finally, and like, cause after like I was, playing soccer, and I didn't realize how big I was, and I was like, shit, I weigh like 300 pounds, bro. Cause I weighed myself and all that shit, and I was just like, I was so heavy, and I just didn't realize that and how unhealthy I was, cause like I was so trapped in my head, and I hated myself. I absolutely hated myself. I was, alone, and if I like, the way that I look at it, it's like, man, if I don't do anything about this, I'm gonna die early. I'm gonna get bigger, and all that stuff. Because like I would see it in like bigger people. I see it today, pretty bad. It's a real issue, but I'm having a yap at that, but but it was right, because like I didn't really go out and like date anybody, and I still to this day, and it was just like, it was pretty bad. Your self-esteem is so terrible, and you put yourself down so bad, and it's horrible, right? Because like you think about it, because you just think about like being a worthless person, because I know, like, I bet like most people deal with, they feel that way eventually. People deal with depression and anxiety at one point in their lives, and they understand what it feels like. So people can understand from that viewpoint and where they felt like that. But it was just like, it was nonstop. Like, it never left my head. Like, and I was dealing with the OCD stuff. That's a separate thing. But like, but yeah, I finally lost the weight, and then I still felt the same way. Like, it didn't go away. I still felt really shitty about myself. And, and then like, I guess like, self-acceptance, because like I would think about things on the outside. Like, if this person didn't like me, or they didn't want to date me, like I would think that I'm fucking worthless. Like, I would think that I'm a loser, and that's how I thought. I would, and the term that you use for that is called conditional self-esteem. So it's like, that's like outside perspective of things. Like, you're looking for external validation. Like, if you don't do well at this job, then you're fucking worthless. And like, that's how I thought, if like for example, like, I'm like, if this girl didn't want to stay with me or date me, like, I'm worthless, I'm ugly, nobody likes me, I'm gonna be alone the rest of my life, type of thing. And that's how I thought. It's terrible, right? And and over the last few years, like, this is the first time I were able to like kind of flip that narrative. Cause it got me to a point where it was just like way too much. It's too much thinking. My whole brain would be overpowered with that stuff, and like, that would be my motivation, right? That would be the why I would do things. And I didn't have any respect for myself, because like I would people please people. If like somebody disappeared for a while, like I'd go back and be like, oh, it's okay, it's fine, like that type of thing. Instead of just moving on with my life. And I never did that. I was never able to respect myself, to leave certain situations, even though if I did, I always came back and like told them like everything, instead of just leaving, like, instead of being fine without an answer. Like, that's the issue I've always had. Like, I needed that like external validation, that reassurance and stuff like that from them, and it got bad. And like right now, I'm like the heaviest I've been, and honestly, the fucking crazy part is, this is like one of the happiest I've been in such a long time. And I like dealing with weight loss. If you're doing it for the wrong reasons, like, it's gonna eventually hit you pretty bad, and I'm living proof of that, right? And I guess once you're like that big and you lose that much weight, you look at life from a different perspective. Because like, I feel like if you've been one size, that's all you're gonna see, right? And you can see it from both sides where, like, you know, nobody wanted you when you were fat. And then when people want you, it's a completely different situation. Like, I'm not a good looking guy, even after losing all that weight. I know that for a fact. But, like, you know, it's hard to find people that were able to understand that. And, you know, some people just have, you know, some people lose weight and they look fucking amazing. I didn't get that, but, you know, but you get to learn how, like, people think and just how, like, from a perspective of, like, how people treat people. And, like, it's horrible because, like, that's just how it is. People like to complain a lot, you know. I mean, I complain too, but I would never, like, tell people, because, like, one of my problems is, like, if I'm mad at somebody, I tell them straight off. If I'm actually mad at somebody, like, I'll say something. Like, that's just how I operate. And, you know, that can ruin relationships. Instead of just not saying anything and ignoring them, or not saying anything and just moving on with your life, like, that's probably the best option, right? And, like, you know, I fucked up a bunch of relationships that way too, so whatever. But, you know, and it's hard to, like, respect yourself, because if somebody treats you like shit, like, you're not gonna really know. Because, like, I've been treated like absolute dog shit, and I just, like, let it happen instead of just moving on with my life. And, like, I just wanted to, you know, the external validation from them. And, like, why do you need that? The only validation you need is from yourself, right? And I've never thought of that way, because I thought, like, you know, achievements, everything, all that needs to come from external validation, right? Because, like, even with, like, nothing felt better when, you know, you had, like, your coach saying, like, oh, you did a good job. And, like, that's what I looked for. But instead of, like, looking at an opportunity of, you know, wanting to grow as a person, and like, thinking of that way. Because, like, I don't, like, now, because, like, I don't care what people think still. And I guess, like, the way that I'm trying to think, you know, is just, like, how can I get better, instead of just, like, you know, getting ridiculed for, like, making mistakes. Because, like, I would have this, like, self-perfectionism type thing, and, you know, it got so bad to the point where, like, you know, because that's what that is, right? And I would refrain myself from doing things and not wanting to learn, because, like, I don't want people to see that I could fuck up. And I think that's the wrong perspective on things, right? You're not going to grow as a person if you don't think that way. And learning to forgive yourself easily, moving on, you know, because, like, I would, like, I'd put myself down so bad after, like, certain situations. And, you know, and I've learned from that. And, you know, I'm still, like, putting that in my perspective, and I've seen a lot of growth as a person. And, you know, it happens. Shit happens. But that's what you got to do, right? You got to move on with life and respect yourself. You're the only person that you need is yourself, and that's hard to accept, but you could be better. You can always be better. All right, good night. I'm going to go do legs.